Hey everyone, continuing with our calculator techniques, we're looking at how do we sketch the graph of x squared over 4 minus y squared over 9 equals to 1. And this is actually our conics, our hyperbola, more specifically the east-west hyperbola because x is in front. Alright, so there are actually two ways to sketch this graph, and I'm going to show you how. So before I actually show you the calculator, if you're going to use the normal way of sketching, you notice that, hey, we can only sketch in y equals to fx. But now we have y squared. So what must we do? Well, we have to make y the subject from the hyperbola equation. As such, we have x squared over 4 minus 1, then whole thing times 9 will be y squared. That means y would then be plus minus 3 root x squared over 4 minus 1. Alright, so that is how we should then put in the equation. But because it's a plus minus, you have to equate the positive and as well as the negative, right? So there's actually two equations that we need to key in. Alright, so let me show you now. Alright, so I have my GC here and I've already keyed in the positive square root. So we're going to key in the negative square root, which you can just continue typing minus 3 and then root 0.25x squared minus 1. Alternatively, you can just simply just do this. Because you know it's going to be minus whatever that you had for y1, you can just put in minus y1 and you can access y1 by going alpha and then trace, which is alpha basically at 4. Alright, so we're going to sketch the graph now and we're going to see something rather interesting. Okay, and you notice the blue graph is the positive one, positive y, and then the red graph is the negative y. And you notice that there's a gap in between, right? And even this is a hyperbola, so why is there a gap in between? The idea is that the GC is not accurate, right? It's the same thing as what we saw in the previous video. The GC somehow doesn't draw this part, right? When you use this equation sign. But nonetheless, right, if you were to, let's say, calculate, let's say, a value at, let's say, x equals to 2, which is going to give you back 0, and look, you get x equals to 2, y equals to 0. So there's still a graph there. The GC knows that there's a graph there, but just somehow can't draw it. So this is how you sketch the hyperbola using the equations. Another way to sketch the graph is by going to apps, going to conics. And you notice that you can get all the 4 conics and hyperbola, since you're interested in that. Now we have to key in basically the alphabet. So I already have it here prepared for you guys. So H and K are 0, A equals to 2, and B equals to 3. So from here, you just need to click on graph. And this time around is kind of weird because your GC is able to sketch the intersection point and there's no gaps here. One problem though is that you cannot do anything else, right? You can't do calculate, you can only do trace. So that is one downside for the conic graphs, which is not really a big deal. If you're to return to y equals, what you can do here is, if you click on alpha and then solve like your equation solver, you can then get these information. You can get the center, the 2 vertexes, and well, for the further math students, you can get the foci, right? The F1 and F2. Alright, which in the H2 syllabus you don't need to know them, but in the further math syllabus it's very important. Alright, just like every other conic. Alright, so this is how you use the GC to sketch a graph with, like, let's say y square. Let's say it's not a conic, then you are forced to use the equation method of going to the